Speaking of charity beginning at home, remember when Donald Trump, after his inauguration, went to a national prayer service at an Episcopalian church and the bishop, Marion Budd, gave him this treatment?
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labour in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Yes, remember that. And the faces of Trump and Melania and JD Vance as they listen to all this go on, and she goes on about how transgender people are fearing for their lives now in Trump's America, was all quite odd. And you'll remember that Trump responded afterwards. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. Well, they certainly owe the public an apology, but I think they also owe the public a fair deal of thanks, because we now know why she went so hard on Donald Trump in that sermon. It's because her church made $53 million out of the Biden administration to resettle migrants in America under programs that Trump has now paused. So this wasn't her genuinely standing there saying, I'm so worried about the state of the world and I'm saying this because I'm a Christian. I'm saying this because it lines the pockets of my church. And of course, at no point did she mention the fact that they got this $53 million to resettle 3,600 refugees in America last year. Sorry, that was 2023. Last year they had 6,400 people that they resettled in America, pocketing all this money through another arm they call the Episcopal Migration Ministry. Isn't it convenient, isn't it? The man walks in who's decided to cut off the flow of money because you're just making shed loads by getting a bunch of people to come over to America. I mean, that's a lot of money, $53 million for, a few thousand people. That's not a bad racket. He turns the tap off and all of a sudden, she's so worried about these migrants and these transgender people who are fearing for their lives. No, she was worried about the bottom line.
I don't know if you should be too critical, Caleb. I mean, Jesus said you can't serve God and money, but the bishop is going to give it a shot anyway. So the fact is they get this $53 million. This is not for providing anything for these refugees. This is simply connecting refugees with service providers.
Oh, my God.
So it's a pretty great job. And the American government, they pay for the airfares for these refugees to arrive in the US. If these refugees end up paying back the government the cost of the airfares, the Episcopalian Church gets 25% of the airfares as a bonus for helping these people settle well. So clearly this bishop had a massive conflict of interest, which was not shared from the pulpit. If the church want to help the poor, then the church should help the poor and foot the bill themselves. But you can't be claiming to be the church helping the poor when you're expecting the taxpayer to put the hand in their pocket and do it. Anyway, this bishop has clearly ruined the Episcopalian Church and now she's trying to ruin the country.
But when you consider they got $53 million to settle 3,600, and like you say, not actually settle them, just connect them with the organisations who will settle them.
Yeah.
And the article says we don't know the figure for last year. That is 2023's figure. We don't know the 2024 figure. But they settled almost double the people last year. So you can imagine we're probably talking in the vicinity of well over $100 million last year. So she is seeing a lot of shiggy walk out the door and she's very unhappy about it. But what she thought she was going to achieve by berating a brand new president, which got overwhelmingly the popular vote, this guy is Mr. Everyone wanted him. Okay, there's no denying that. And she thought instead of uniting Americans, who a lot of them are Bible believers and would have tuned in and been like, yes, this is the national prayer service, instead of uniting Americans and giving a powerful message that everyone could get behind. She basically picked out the entire Trump campaign's main bastions of what they'd campaigned on and begged him not to do it. All the LGBTIQ stuff as well as the refugee stuff. I mean, talk about screaming into a pillow.
I mean, who would have thought that bullying Donald Trump is not the best way to get the man to change his mind? Like, I'm not sure she has much political smarts, this lass.